One of the multiple billionaires who wants to be president is Michael Bloomberg, and he weighed in on the debate about Medicare for All, and as expected, he got every single thing dead wrong.
I think you could never afford that. You're talking about trillions of dollars. I think you can have Medicare for all for people that are uncovered, but because that's a smaller group, and a lot of them are taking care of Medicaid already, Medicare. But to replace the entire private system where companies provide health care for their employees would bankrupt us for a very long time.
Here's the problem with that. It's just factually wrong. I know that I'm a broken record on this show, and I know a lot of you are probably like, okay, Kyle, we get it. But you have to understand something. There are some people who are watching this video who've never even seen a secular talk video before, and this might be their first one, and they don't know these things, and I have to repeat these things because nobody in corporate media is going to say this stuff. And it's infuriating because we have the facts, we have the reality of the situation, and it should be corrected on the spot every time. I don't care whether you're talking about on NBC, MSNBC, CBS, ABC, CNN, Fox News, whatever outlet you want to talk about. Anytime anybody says, oh no, we can't afford Medicare for all, it'll bankrupt the country, it's too expensive, how are we going to pay for it? Anytime anybody says that, it should be a Pavlovian response where it's just immediate and they say, oh, that's not true at all. In fact, the reality is the Political Economy Research Institute at the University of Massachusetts Amherst found that single-payer healthcare would save the United States, $5.1 trillion over a decade. So, in other words, right now, people pay private premiums, and you have to pay them every month. Oh my goodness, I need to make sure I don't, have a lapse in my health insurance. I got to pay it every month. Let's say you pay just going to give rough numbers here, $500 a month for your health insurance. Well, what if I told you you could keep that $500? Private premium, gone. Doesn't exist anymore. But now your taxes get increased $300. Do you understand the way that works? You save $500 because no more private premium, but now we increase your taxes $300, so you have a net savings of $200 a month. That's Medicare for all. Now, people might, well, why is it that, you end up saving money? Very simple. Because when you have for-profit private health insurance companies, there's a middleman, and the middleman is making a profit. So if you get rid of the profit motive and you get rid of that unnecessary middleman, the cost is going to go down. This is all very, very, very basic stuff, man. And then there's numbers on what percentage of the money that goes into Medicare goes towards actual care versus what percentage of the money that goes to private health insurance companies goes to actual care. And it's over 90% of the money that goes into Medicare goes towards actual care. And for private health insurance companies, it's something like 70% or thereabouts of the money goes to actual care. So you have all these unnecessary overhead costs and the profit motive, and you got the fucking, bonuses for the executives, and you got all these unnecessary things that shouldn't be there. Single payer just means the government is the single insurer. So you get sick, you get help, and that help comes out of your tax dollars, and you save money in the process, and you cover absolutely everybody. So even if you look at a right-wing study on this issue, the Mercatus Institute, funded by the Koch brothers, libertarian leaning, they admit Medicare for all would save $2 trillion over a decade. So for somebody to make the argument, oh my God, we can't afford this, well, no, what we can't afford is what we're doing right now. Because if you think we can't afford Medicare for all, you definitely think we can't afford our current system. Because it costs more. So the real point is we can't afford not to do Medicare for all. Every other developed country has one version or another of a single-payer system. And by the way, they cover everybody and it costs less. We could cut our healthcare costs per capita in half. Or about in half. Because we see that's what other developed nations end up paying. So this isn't like he's talking about this issue and he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. He also doesn't know that there's a study from the Commonwealth Fund that put the United States 11th out of 11 when it came to developed countries and their healthcare systems, their respective healthcare systems. 11th out of 11. That's the Commonwealth Fund, and that's a recent study. Never mind the study that goes back all the way to the year, I think, 2000, which was the World Health Organization study, which ruled that the U.S. is 37th in healthcare. But it doesn't matter which study you look at, every study has us as the worst in the developed world or one of the worst in the developed world. Never mind the fact that 32,000 to 45,000 people die every year because they don't have access to basic health care. So this is not a debatable issue, okay? This is not a debatable issue. And I don't know what pisses me off more nowadays. I don't know if it's the people who say these things like Mike Bloomberg says and like Howard Schultz says about, oh my God, we can't afford it, it'll bankrupt us, yada, yada. I don't know if that pisses me off more or at the fucking crickets and lack of fact-checking in response to it. Because that, to me, is more pernicious. Because politicians are always going to be politicians, and they're going to, give you misleading numbers, or they're going to lie, or they're just going to be wrong. But the media's one job is to make sure that they're telling the truth and to hold them accountable. And they don't do it. They never do it, ever. So it's infuriating. But every mainstream media outlet should immediately fact-check anytime somebody makes this claim, and I guarantee you're going to hear this claim multiple times a week throughout the election season. I'm not kidding. Multiple times a week throughout the election season, you will hear this claim being made, and my guess is it will never be fact-checked. And so a lot of people will unfortunately walk away from going, I guess that we can't afford it. Even though, by the way, even with all the propaganda, 70% of the country wants Medicare for all. So I guess to some extent, maybe I'm wrong, and the propaganda is just not working anymore. But imagine if people knew all of the information, they would go, oh, wow. They'd probably be as angry as I am about this. And they'd be like, I can't believe we're even, like, anybody would say that with a straight face now, that we can't afford it. Are you kidding me? We can't afford not to have it. So, Michael Bloomberg, notice something, guys. The two billionaires who are running, Howard Schultz and Michael Bloomberg, one of the things they're putting front and center is, well, we can't have universal health care, and we can't have free college. They're putting that front and center. They're billionaires, and they're scolding regular people saying you can't have basic necessities of life. They're going to get so destroyed, and it's going to be legendary. It really is. And final point is, I like how he said, we can have Medicare for all for the people that are uncovered. Perhaps you're not sure what the word all means, Michael. No, Medicare for all means Medicare for all. It's not Medicare for some. It's not Medicare for the uncovered. It's not Medicare for a tiny fraction of the population. Because people who are middle class who have insurance are underinsured oftentimes. And they have shitty health care. And under your idea, they would continue to get screwed. So it's just shut the fuck up. I hate these guys. They're so in over their head. And they get taken seriously simply because they have a lot of money. That's all it is. They have a lot of money, so people, mainstream media, since they're part of the elite circle, they treat them with kid gloves, and they act like, oh, they must be smart, they have a lot of money. Paris Hilton also has a lot of money, so that says quite a bit right there, too.